Well, let me talk about books that I'm a book that I'm reading next, and that is Steins Gate Zero Volume One. I'm going to apologize in advance. You can probably just skip past this. We've got timestamps in our show notes. You can just skip past here. But Steins Gate is one of those stories that like itches my brain in a really weird but good way because it's all about time travel with some really overcomplicated, made up sciencey bullshit featuring nonstop Deus Ex Machina time travel stuff. Like, and I just can't get enough. Something about it makes me go, hell yeah, this is the kind of stupid sciencey comic that I want to read. And for those of you who maybe don't remember from a previous episode when I talked about this series, the original story is about a guy named Rintaro Okabe. He calls himself like a mad scientist, and he sends a text message to his friend after he sees the dead body of a person at this like science convention. He sends a text message to his buddy. He goes home, and it turns out that his buddy didn't get the text message until like the previous day. Like he essentially sends a text message back in time, and he doesn't understand how that's possible. He ends up saving the life of this woman. Her name is Kurusu Mikase, and that was the one who had died. And he falls in love with her. The world changes though because of this text message, and he and his group of scientists that work in his rogue scientist lab realize that they can send text messages and other pieces of information back in time, and it changes what they call the world line. There's this whole branching path theory about like there is a single moment in time that all things branch off from because of this one text message that our main character sent, and the story goes bonkers from there because Rintaro is constantly trying to fix all these different bad things that keep happening through these text message time travel things. Other people start sending text messages. There's mysterious characters. Somebody travels from the future in a spaceship that was potentially related to Rintaro, or turns out maybe it's not. A lot of weird things happen, and the story ends up pretty sad at the end, because you can't change time. That's basically what it comes down to. But there is this alternate potential path that the world can take in these timelines, and the story of Steins Gate Zero is one of those alternate paths. It is the beta world line. Whereas our main story followed the alpha world line, this is the beta world line. And the story follows, it takes place in 2020. The original story took place in 2010. And Rintaro has given up. After suffering through indescribable grief and untold heartbreak, he gives up on saving the girl he loves, but one day he meets her again, just not as he knew her. From this chance encounter, the gears of fate would begin to turn once more. I don't know. All of the heroes and all the people from Steins Gate return. If you look into Steins Gate as a series, there's like video games, and the whole entire story is based off of a light novel that got turned into a TV show, and I read the manga, and so I'm reading like the third hand storyline here that is then like a secondary story to the main line. I'm way in it, and I haven't played the video games yet, but I kind of just love this storyline, and so I'm really really excited to see what the hell even happens here. There's the original Steins Gate was like this big collected edition that I read in a couple sittings. I have volumes 1 and 2 of Steins Gate Zero, and I don't know if there's more. There might be a third. But yeah, I really liked the anime when I watched it, and I'm very excited to read whatever this beta world line thing is. So who knows? Maybe I'll start wearing tinfoil hats and try to send text messages back in time to make myself rich. Who knows? We'll see. Have you guys have heard of this at all? I don't remember. I think Nick, you and I talked about this a little bit, but have you heard of this at all?
Yeah, I mean, I bought the what I think is all of the original run. I
Okay.
still haven't sat down and read it.
Okay.
I flipped around through it. I will admit, like I think the original manga ran maybe in like the mid aughts. I think like 04, 05, right? So my problem, at least with it so far, just from skimming around it, is like thematically, I like the idea. The art style is feels very, again, from someone who's not an expert on manga, like it feels very a little dated.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's
Like
of a specific time for
it's of
sure.
its time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so that's kind of my one little setback with it. Otherwise, I think it like I think it gets into some of the I think we talked about it gets into some of like the conspiracy theories about like, oh, this person was posting on Reddit back in the early
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
2000s. Like, were they really a time traveler? Were they not? You know?
That does factor into the
Um
story, which I think is very funny.
Right, and this guy's like, "Oh, I'm from the year, like, 2020," and I was like, "Yeah, that sounds maybe impressive, but, like, if you would have asked me in, like, 2002, like, could I make a couple decent projections about 2022?
Mhm.
I probably would have done okay."
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
maybe I'm, overestimating myself here, but, like, come on.
Okay.
I don't know. The internet gets faster, and we use it for stupid things.
Come on, Nick. We use
Yeah, come
this
on.
it's very important, okay? We don't use it for
Yeah,
stupid things. Um,
yeah.
well
Speak for yourself.
well, Nick, if you do go deeper into this story, I'd love to hear your thoughts
Yeah.
on it, but, I guess